How do I wash soil? This is a question we get a lot here at Equip2. My name is Bert from Equip2, and we're just going to do a quick explain on how to wash soil. So you might be on a site where you've got contaminated soils, or you're looking to minimize your soil going to a landfill or the end of life landfill. And there's so many opportunities we can do to minimize that and turn that material into a usable product. So as we know, soils in general throughout the world, there's only 30% as an average silts in it, and that silt is what we call the waste. So it's a makeup of aggregates and sand and then silt. So today we're going to explain that. So the process, the way it works, and the main would put it over a rinsing screen. Let's say that's a double deck with your spray bars, trying to wash that product through, and we're trying to pull out as much sand and silt as possible. That'll go for further processing in this process. The oversized stone then will be transferred into what we call a log washer, and that's made up of generally two shafts. We draw that in there with scrubbing paddles, and that product can stay in that hull for about 6 minutes, and that's designed to agitate the material, scrub that stone and break off any parts or particles that are sticking to that aggregate. And then from there, it'll go over, let's say, a 3-deck screen, depending on your application, on what you're trying to achieve. But we can essentially make ourselves 3 aggregates coming off here, and an oversize. And then the residual, the remaining underneath, is also going to be our sand and water and silts. So those two there will then go into what we'll call a sump. And then they would go to further processing, whether it be through an agitator to try and break up those materials or those smaller particles that will be sticking to that sand, or we can then put it through a cyclone. And that then will give us a quality sand, which can then be used for either concrete aggregate or fill sand. And then the overflow from the cyclone unit can then get further treated. So that overflow is going to consist of our silts and our water makeup, and there'll be 70% water, 30% silt coming off there, and that will either go into a filter press, which will press out the water from the silts and turning that silt into a cake. So that cake, if we just draw a filter press here, you'll see we've got videos specifically around some of these components which will help you understand each one individually. But that filter press will drop out those silts into cakes onto the floor, and that's where the concentrated material or any contamination that's involved in our input material gets concentrated into this final product. So all these products here then are free from any of that contamination that could be in our input material. Trust that helps and gives you some understanding. It is achievable. If you've got any questions, please reach out to the team here at Equip2. This plant is simple, easy to set up. We can have a modular setup or a mobile setup, whatever works for your application. Thank you.